Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, my name is Griefdrums, and in today's video I'm going to be covering the topic of Overkills The Walking Dead and whether or not you should buy it. So I have pretty much just finished playing this game over the closed beta weekends. There were 3 of them. I was lucky enough to be participating in 2, and the devs very kindly gifted me a key, and well, actually a couple of keys, and then even more keys during my stream to hand out to other people so it could get them involved and get them to try it. Now, I cannot say thank you enough for this. I really did appreciate it, and I really appreciate the opportunity to make videos about this particular game, because it's a game that I've been looking forward to playing for a really, really long time now. When I first saw the trailer, I think it was during E3, it was a very, very simple trailer, but as soon as I saw it, I thought, this is it. This is the zombie game I've been waiting for, and I've enjoyed playing these sorts of games for a really long time. You know, DayZ, Dying Light, Dead Island, State of Decay, all sorts of different kinds of zombie games I've enjoyed playing. So I was really keen to get my hands on this, and as soon as I got it, I went ahead and jumped in and got stuck in straight away to the first mission, which is pretty much COD zombies, I mean, for lack of a better term. You spawn in with up to 3 other co-op players, and then with those players what you can do is you have to try and hold out at your base for a set number of waves. I think there's about 4 or 5 waves in total, and the zombies just keep coming and they will push through the gates. You have to barricade the gates back up, and you have to utilise things like barbed wire. Now, this was pretty fun, don't get me wrong. It was, you know, thrown straight in the deep end, you're getting attacked, and the sheer quantity of zombies made it quite horrible to deal with. There were a few strange elements to this, like the fact that they were breaching the perimeter gates, but they were also coming from inside as well. I didn't really understand that, but at the same time I didn't mind it because it just added to the fear factor when zombies just appear from behind you and you think, Jesus Christ, how the hell did you get there? So this game mode was pretty fun, and it wasn't what I expected at all, but nevertheless I did have quite a good laugh doing it. From there, you can go back to this world map and you can pick more new missions, and this world map is pretty much where everything gets done from. You've got the Anderson camp, and the Anderson camp is pretty much just a area for you to go and buy new stuff and stockpile all of your equipment that you have gained. And it's also a really good way for you to meet all of the characters that you potentially save throughout the missions. Watching this camp grow is quite an interesting concept, and it really does play into the meta loop that the guys are going for here. The next mission that I played was Hell or High Water, and this was a hell of a lot of fun, this mission. It was exactly what I was hoping for. It is, to a degree, quite Dying Light, obviously with a lot less parkour. There are stealth elements, but for the most part, it is pretty much hacking and slashing zombies, trying to be as stealthy as you can to keep your horde meter down. Now, the horde meter goes through set levels of, I think it's about 3 different levels, and the more noise you make shooting, the more likely it is to attract the horde. As you go through each wave, you attract a load more zombies, which makes your life a hell of a lot tougher. As we were progressing through the mission, we found out soon that there are traps scattered all over the place that you need to try and deal with, and this could be anything from bear traps to tripwires with Molotov cocktails hidden inside of garages. Fortunately for us, Rob was there to find all of them with his feet and his body, and he cleared most of them out, only needing to be revived a couple of times. As you progress through the level, you eventually come up against people. Now, these are where the real threat lie. Zombies, even in a huge quantity, are a pain, and they can be difficult to deal with, especially when your stamina starts running low. But for the most part, they're not too much of a threat, certainly not in comparison to humans who have guns. Now, because they have guns, they obviously start shooting at you if they know you're there, and this in turn raises your horde meter. There were a few occasions in which we tried to do cool little things, like releasing a cage of zombies to thin them out and to try and kill as many of the people as we could. But we found that actually raised the horde meter as well. So, as it logically would, don't get me wrong, but it was just kind of what's the point in doing that when you could potentially just snipe people with a suppressor? I personally was a big fan of utilising the crossbow. I think it was just, I was getting my Daryl Dixon on, I really was. It was just so much fun and so satisfying when you nail those headshots from a stupid distance. But surely enough, we eventually hit the horde and they were attacking us, and we had to try and gather as much of these, I think it was water pumps that had been stolen was the general idea. We had to try and load those into the back of a car. Now, with this game being created by the same developers as Payday 2, you cannot underestimate just how similar the two are. Certainly when it comes to things like grabbing the water pump and throwing them into the back of the van, and the horde meter pretty much being the same concept as the police alarm being triggered in Payday 2. For all intents and purposes, this game is Payday 2 with a Walking Dead skin. Now, in hindsight, before I started playing it, I probably should have realised that was going to be the case. I didn't. I came into this fairly blind. I hadn't watched too many of the dev videos because I didn't really want to spoil it for myself. I enjoy coming into games like this with a completely fresh, open perspective, so I can make my own opinion on the game rather than judging it before I actually get my hands on it. So with it being created by Starbreeze and the Payday 2 devs, it's very clear that there is an in-game meta of you spawn on the world map, you unlock a couple of missions and you will go and do those. And then to move the story along, you will collect aspects from that mission and then you will come back to the world map. Once you are back at the world map, you are then expected to sort of defend your base again. And it's pretty much constantly doing that. You go out, you do a mission, you come back, you defend your base. And it's just a constant cycle or a constant loop. Now, whether you're defending the base against humans or zombies or I don't know what else is going to happen. I mean, certainly in the second, or I think it was the third weekend of the closed beta, there was the same mission at Anderson Camp in which humans were attacking and shooting at you. And it did add a little variety to the game. But once you've played that once, I wouldn't see myself going back to do it again, in all honesty. I much preferred the missions where you actually had to stealth around and try and figure out essentially puzzles. You have to try and get things like fuel and a battery for a car to try and open a set of doors. You'll have to try and move the car through it or power it from the car or something like that. And these kind of things were interesting, but again, they got a little bit tiresome after a while. Now, as I said, with the devs being the Payday 2 devs, I really should have seen this coming. I should have seen that there was going to be an in-game meta loop where it is quite repetitious and you're doing the same stuff over and over and over again on varying difficulties. The other thing is you are doing the same maps over and over again. So you may do one of the missions, like we had to go and try and kill essentially a high-value target. He was a member of somewhere called the Family, and we had to try and thin out all these zombies, get to him and kill him. We did that mission. It was a bit underwhelming at the end when we actually killed him because we hadn't realised that we had. And then we went into the next mission to try and obtain supplies, and unfortunately it was on exactly the same map and you were taking the exact same route again. It was just the end goal was a little bit different. We had to collect a load of bags and throw them into the back of a lorry instead of killing someone. The people were all there exactly the same. The zombies were all in the same places pretty much. And it just felt a bit underwhelming to me. It really did. Now, I know this sounds quite negative so far. I'm going to try and, stay as positive as possible because, like it or not, I did enjoy playing some of the missions on this game. I actually had a really good time on certainly Hell or High Water. I think for me, though, it's just not the game I was expecting. Personally, for me, it's missed the mark a little bit. I was hoping for a lot more of a story-driven game, and the story itself doesn't come from proper cutscenes. It just seems to be videos at the start of missions in which a narrator sort of explains what's happening next and what's going to happen for the next mission. Now, I don't really know what I was expecting, whether I was kind of hoping for a more of an open world game. I wouldn't have even minded that the levels are fairly linear, like old school COD levels. I was just kind of hoping for something that would really get you involved in these character stories, because for me, that is where The Walking Dead really does thrive. Now, the TV show has sort of lost it over the past few years. I still watch it, but I'm nowhere near as into it as I was. Fear the Walking Dead seems to do it a little bit better, where you get really hooked into these people, and then, one of them will die and get taken away. And for me, that's kind of where I expected this game to be going. I thought we were going to be, crossing over a little bit of Telltale's The Walking Dead, where you save someone on a mission, and a couple of missions later, you have to kind of do something or make a decision which actually results in their death. And I think they've really missed a trick here. The reason the comics work so well is because you get involved in these characters. And in this game, I couldn't have really cared less who I was playing as. And I'm not overly fussed about grinding massive amounts on the same levels just to try and unlock new gear. The gear itself was a little bit of a strange one for me, because you will unlock a new crossbow, for example, for Heather, one of the operators in the game. And I unlocked a couple of new crossbows for her with a lightning bolt, which I didn't really understand. I don't get what that was supposed to be. You had to be level 5 to use it. I was only level 3 at the time, despite, grinding a fair bit. And then when I could finally use it, I had all these modifications that I'd purchased, and it turns out you could only put one modification per weapon. So if you've got a MP5, for example, and you fitted a suppressor to it, and then you get another MP5 and you buy a sight, you think, okay, I'll take the suppressor off the first one and fit the sight and the suppressor to this new one. You can't actually do that. The new MP5, you may only be allowed to fit a sight. So the whole customization of weapons is pretty much non-existent. Not at this stage of the game anyway. Perhaps in later levels you can add 4, 5, maybe 6 attachments to one single weapon and really trick it out and make your character worthwhile. But at the moment that's just not the case. There are other in-game elements from the map screen that you can play where, during a mission you may rescue someone. Now you don't physically rescue them, it's just something that pops up at the end of the level that says, you've got a couple of people here, do you want to save them? And from there you can manage your camp, you can get them to do work which may increase your stats in some way, shape or form. But you need to constantly grind for scrap and things like that, electrical products, to try and keep the morale of the camp up, because every couple of days you will incur a penalty of cost. Now this is for the upkeep of your camp supposedly, and this aspect of the game is something I didn't really find myself caring about. It was more of a hindrance than anything. If we were actually walking around a proper camp that you slowly saw growing, I may have had more of an interest in it if you got to go there and take scrap places and, work on building up the barricades of the camp. But it wasn't really like that. The Anderson camp is more of a case for you to just walk around in, and it doesn't seem to offer a massive amount. On the whole though, let's get to the crux of the video. Should you buy it? If you're a fan of Payday 2, I cannot recommend this game enough. I played Payday 2 for a really long time, and at the time I did really enjoy it. Did I have fun playing the beta? Yeah, sure I did. I had a hell of a lot of fun with the guys that I was playing with, and we just had some hilarious moments that I didn't really expect to get from this game. In the end though, would I buy it? Probably not, unfortunately, and I'm a little bit disappointed to say that, I really am. I think if this was being pushed as an early access game and it was a fair bit cheaper, sort of like 25 quid, I would be all over it. It's a game that you could quite easily grind out for a few hours every single night and just continually grow your characters. But it's not the kind of game that I was expecting at all, and because of that I'm a little bit disappointed. Now the Overkill team from Starbreeze have worked really hard on this game, and you can really see their passion in the developers' diaries. They are really, really pleased with this, and because of that there is a hell of a lot of content coming out that's a little bit like Rainbow Six Siege in the sense of it's going to be free seasons that come out. So initially you will get a load of missions that come out with the game for you to grind on, and then at the end of November there will be a load more levels come out along with new characters and weapons and things like that. And then there's going to be a new season coming out in the future in which more levels come out. So they are continually pushing this out, and the game could go in a slightly different direction. A lot of people do seem to really be enjoying the game, but I know that I myself and the other two guys that I was playing online with weren't so sold on it. If every mission was like Hell or High Water or similar in that respect, yeah, I would get it. I would get it in a friggin' heartbeat. But the meta loop itself, the way it is in the game, it's just not really for me. What about you though? Did you guys get a chance to play the closed beta? I know I did hand out a few keys. If you did get a chance to play it, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you going to be purchasing this game as soon as it drops, or are you going to give it a miss, and if so, why? Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay reckless and relentless.